Again, you may have heard the story about St. Augustine and the boy on the seashore. Augustine, who lived in the 5th century, wrote a book in which he discussed the meaning of the Blessed Trinity. He worked on it for at least 27 years and never really finished it because the Blessed Trinity is hard to explain. The story goes that Augustine was walking on a beach thinking about this subject when a little boy caught his attention. The boy had dug a hole in the sand away from the edge of the surf, and he was running back and forth with a pail or a shell and taking water from the ocean and pouring it into the hole. Augustine asked the boy what he was doing, and the boy said, "I'm putting the ocean in this hole." Augustine said, "But that's impossible. You can't make the ocean fit in that hole." And the boy said, "Yes, that's right. And you can't contain the mystery of the Holy Trinity in your mind." Well, I don't know whether that story is true or not, but I bring it up because the readings for this weekend's Mass, all of which, in one way or another, refer to the Blessed Trinity. The passage from St. John's Gospel, in particular, refers distinctly to all three persons of the Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Many people, whether Catholic or not, are confused by this idea. Some, particularly Jewish and Muslim people whose faith depends on the principle that there is only one God, think that this doctrine of the Trinity implies something else. It doesn't imply something else, but it's easy to see why the concept of the Trinity would be hard for some people to comprehend, particularly people who weren't brought up with it. After all, a genius like Augustine spent 27 years trying to explain it, and he still wasn't done. Now, we know about the Trinity only because the Gospels tell us that Jesus revealed it in his teaching. And that may prompt the question, why would Jesus want to baffle us the way he baffled Augustine? And the answer is that he would not. Throughout the Gospels, we see Jesus preaching in a way that the people around him could understand. He told stories. He referred to things like livestock and agriculture and weather that his audiences would recognize. But when he spoke of the Trinity, although he never used that term, he spoke of something outside of the experience of his audiences. He spoke of something outside of the experience of all of us. He spoke of the nature of God, something none of us will fully understand in this life. But his aim wasn't to confuse us or to plunge us into a lifelong study of theology. His aim was to get across something simple but critical, not something baffling, but actually something reassuring and comforting. The Apostle John, who was either the author or the source of today's gospel passage, lived for many years in Ephesus, where he was influenced by Greek philosophical thought. And that's evident in the gospel, which can at times be less concrete than the writing in the gospels of Matthew, Mark, and Luke. But listen carefully to what Jesus says in this gospel passage, speaking to his disciples on the night before he died. "If you love me, you will keep my commandments, and I will ask the Father, and he will give you another advocate to be with you always, the Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot accept because it neither sees him nor knows him. But you know him because he remains with you and will be in you. I will not leave you orphans. I will come to you. In a little while, the world will no longer see me, but you will see me because I live and you will live. On that day, you will realize that I am in my Father and you are in me and I in you." See, the mystery of the Trinity three persons in one God, is impenetrable to us, as it was ultimately even to Augustine, who could never completely grasp it. But this great gift that Jesus spoke of is not beyond us. The promise we hear from Jesus today that God will always be with us in everything that he has created, in the church, in the Eucharist, in the presence of the Holy Spirit, in the heart and soul of every one of us.